Alright, so here is an RCA model 18T as in Tango, AM FM or AM shortwave radio that is from 1940. This is another one of those radios out of that batch of radios that that had it came with that all that stuff I got from the lady's house. And this is another one of the more whole sets that I found. The knobs that were on it, you probably noticed the knobs are missing. And those knobs, it had knobs on it, but there were these. And these aren't the correct knobs. There's 4 of them. It's got 4. These are the correct knobs here. I found them in that jar, and these are the same knobs that goes on the radio that we did before, the RCA 16X4. Same style of knob. There was a whole bunch of knobs in this jar, and by looking at pictures I realized these weren't the right ones, and they didn't look like the right ones because they stuck out way too far. So found these, and those are the ones that go to it. As you can see, it's got the push button presets. Now I believe on this one, unlike the other one, you don't have to have one of these buttons pressed in for normal tuning. So I believe that's the way it is, but it's got the little slots for the stickers for the station numbers. I've got a bag that came with all this stuff of station numbers that I guess you can put in here. They're like stickers. I don't know if they stick anymore. They're what, 70 years old, 80 years old. Anyway, so this radio, this is kind of strange, but they got the dial face just kind of laying in here, and this needle is on top of the dial face. And that's not the way it goes. This goes on the other side, and it goes in the chassis or the cabinet here. This needle mounts to the chassis. So we're gonna have to take this apart, get this dial glass out of here, and figure out a way to mount it inside the cabinet. To be honest with you, this radio's cabinet is in pretty good shape. I don't think it needs to be refinished. I would just leave it the way it is. It's actually in pretty nice shape. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I think it's quite presentable. I mean, there's a couple of little minor scratches on it, but I mean that, any radio could be like, I think it would be better just left original. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's a lot easier to do that too. But anyway, let me get this chassis out of here and see if I can get this dial glass straightened out. One of the main problems with all these radios being in pieces is hardware. I mean, where is the hardware? There's hardware stuffed in all kinds of little jars, and that can had a bunch of hardware in it and all that. So anyway, that's been a real issue with these so far is the hardware. So I've had to scrounge up hardware that I've got out of my own stash and use that, and hopefully along the way we'll find the original hardware and just replace it on down the line. I had to do that with this thing on the back, the antenna, the loop antenna on this. I just had to get these screws out of my stash, and so the antenna would be attached to it, so it wouldn't be just flopping around and end up messing up the loop. The loop is loose from this cardboard, so we're gonna probably have to figure out a way to glue that back in there, but at least try to get some of the stuff attached so it's not putting stress on the wires and whatever else in there. Well, this is kind of a shame. I didn't realize the speaker was in this bad of shape. Somebody's taped it up. And glued it here. It's coming apart there. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's probably not going to sound all that great, but you know, I may end up junking out some other radio that has a good speaker. You know, I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, this is an electrodynamic speaker, so that's kind of unfortunate because you can't just put anything in there. But the dial string on this one's good, which is awesome. And they just basically had this glass kind of laying in here, and so that's probably why they did it that way. It's almost like a little tray that it would sit in. So and I was noticing when I was taking it out, the cabinet has these little metal bands. I don't know if you can see that right there, but that's one of the metal bands, and that one's still attached there. So what I think I'm going to do is try to slide that dial glass back in there and secure it with those metal bands and see how that works out. It should work pretty good. It looks like it's kind of just hooked under that piece of wood right there. So I'll try to put that dial glass back in here. Alright, so this dial glass, these little metal bands, looks like they just hook up under this piece of wood here. The bottom part, let's see if I can hold this camera straight and do this at the same time. And then this part just tucks up under that piece of wood. I don't know how tight that's going to be. It don't look like that side's very tight compared to the other side. Let's see. You probably need to, yeah, I know what I need to do. I need to take this piece of metal and flatten it out a little more. So let's see if we can tuck that under there. Still didn't go all the way in. Or maybe I got it backwards. So let's flip that over. Let's see if I can get that to go under there. Well, that's even tighter that way. So it's pushed all the way down. Yeah, that don't want to work out too well. This thing was tight in here a minute ago. I don't know, stand by and let's see what I can do with it. Okay, so I figured it out. These metal bands, when they go up, they kind of bow out a little bit like that. That part goes in to push against the glass, so it's got enough tension on it to hold it. So it's in there pretty good now. I believe that'll work. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I believe that'll work. Alright, so as far as this chassis goes, these tubes were all plugged in the wrong spot. And there were tubes in here that didn't even go in this radio. So, I mean, I've changed it now, and I know these don't match, but these are two 6F6s. I got these out of my stash because he had a I think a 5Y4 here, and it takes a 5Y3 as a rectifier. And then he had this 5Y3 in this slot, and then there was another tube in here. I don't remember the number on it. It didn't even go in the set. It wasn't even one that was listed as going in here. So I don't know what was going on. Like I said, this guy, this older guy had dementia, and you know, anything's possible. Looks like this dial light got taken out for some reason or another. And so you stick that back in there, and if it don't work, I can always change the bulb. But so anyway, I ended up rounding up all the right tubes and putting them back in. And then when I did that, it was basically dead. So that was the last thing I got when I tried it the last time. Okay, so I'm getting nothing but humming out of this thing. There's no action at all. It's, you know, I'm getting enough of a hum to tell the speaker's good. So but I'm not getting anything else. So I decided to get out the signal tracer and see if we could detect where the signal stops at. And I'm getting a signal coming out of the IF can here.
Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who act...
And if you go back, you'll get it a little bit sort of here and there, but well, anyway, whatever. I was getting something there earlier, but you're getting, you get a signal going in there, a signal coming out.
Convicted of interfering
that
with
signal going in
during a civil disorder and resisting.
So we've got a signal there. I just need to trace it back and see all where it's going. Hang on. Okay, so I quickly have learned that this is going to be a repair of fixing screw-ups. So all these here, these caps that were in here were all these big orange drops. I don't know if you can read that, but it says 333, and that's a 0.033. He had everything a 0.033, and actually these are all 0.005. So I've changed and put the right value caps in here, and I'm just kind of going behind and checking all the work here. Yep, it's another 333. I know these probably aren't right either, so I'm just going to have to go back and check his work and see what all has been changed. So that may end up being our problem. It may not, and it might even have worked, but I need to go back and check, because there's been resistors in this set replaced, and he's J-hooked everything, and I mean, it's really not that much more work just to hook these up properly. So, and that's what I've been doing here and here and here and just about everywhere. Alright, so I finally found it. Let me explain what was going on with this thing. I wasn't able to figure out exactly why we had no audio. I would come up here with a signal tracer and we'd have it here.
And pediatrician in chief.
And so I knew it was somewhere right in here in this first audio stage. And so you've got this resistor here. It comes off. You got this capacitor. It comes down to this tie point here, which is broke off down there. Well, this ground was hooked up to that. I don't know why this ground was added. You can tell it was added. Brush solder there, and it was soldered here. Along with this capacitor going over to that, which is the plate. So this comes off the plate and was going straight to ground. Well, this is supposed to attach to that resistor over there. So that was wrong, and it's the wrong value. This is a 0.002. It's supposed to be a 0.005. It's a 0.22, I think, 0.22. So anyway, after I took this ground off, things started working. That's what I'm getting now. That's what I get with it connected.
Standards for to help lower air pollution.
Don't know why that was put on there, but who knows? I mean, the guy had dementia. He hooked up. I mean, he put in the wrong tubes, the wrong value capacitors. This is what really takes a lot of time, and why people don't want to work on stuff that people's already worked on. So anyway, at least I got it straightened out. Now I gotta put that capacitor back in there where it goes. Okay, I want to explain how that how I just came to the conclusion that that ground shouldn't have been there. So this is the wiring diagram for the set. Most sets don't have these, but this set has pretty good service info on it, and so which is definitely a big help. I think this will explain it a little bit better rather than looking at the schematic. I will show the schematic where it's listed on there as well, but this kind of gives you an idea of what everything looks like in the set as as you physically look at it. So this is C51. This is the tie point that this thing actually, it mounts to the chassis. It's like a terminal strip, but it's just a one wire deal. So anyway, you've got the black wire here, which is labeled black. It goes to your tone switch here, comes down, goes to your tie point, ties off to C51. C51 ties into your IF transformer, is labeled E on here, along with C49 and R9. So if you look on here, there's no ground wire. It just goes from E to C51 tie point and then to your tone switch. So that's clue one, that there's not supposed to be a ground there. Now if we go over to the schematic, you have C51 here. It does ground through this capacitor to ground, but that's through the capacitor. That capacitor is C49, pretty sure. Let's see. Yep, C49, 100 picofarad. And this just grounds directly to the tube, but that's on this side of C51. That's on the IF can side. So as you can see here, all the grounds, which even the 220, even that is grounded through R24, which goes to a tube pin that's grounded, and C49. So what we're talking about is on this side, there's no ground here. It just goes to the tone switch. So yeah, this is a ground. This is your phono jack, which runs through that switch. So there's no ground on this, in this circuit. All right, we got it back in the cabinet, and I had a time lining this thing up because the dial scale is on the radio, and it's hard to tell exactly where it's at. So you have to put it back in and pull it back out, readjust it, put it back in, check it, So anyway, we finally got it on the AM band.
That owners are expecting contract extension. Commissioner Roger Goodell Tuesday.
Yeah, 970. I'll go to shortwave. This is the bottom band. There's not much on the middle band, because the middle band is like the top of the AM band all the way up to 4 megahertz, and that's during the day, and it's not going to pick up a whole lot. Trying to keep from getting the glare. Kind of hard. Well, not much on shortwave during the day anyway. But scan through, show you it works. A lot of the same things over and over.
El Partido Popular aclaró luego que Feijóo no criticó la asistencia a la cumbre.
I used to like that song.
Alright, so not a lot going on in the shortwave band. The weather's kind of nasty today anyway. I'm surprised I haven't gotten a lot of lightning strikes, but probably we got a lot of nasty weather moving through here. But anyway, you know, it's pretty good appearance. I don't think I need to do anything with the appearance. This band switch is kind of weird. It's got a first position, which, you know, I was like, well, it's only got 3 bands. Why has it got an extra one? Because it goes all the way up. You know, it's got 4 clicks on it. Well, the first one is for the presets. You put it all the way counterclockwise, and you can use the presets to dial in whatever station you want. And then the second click is just regular tuning and AM tuning, and then the next 2 are the next 2 bands. So anyway, that's the RCA 18 T as in Tango from 1940. This one had a lot of goof ups and took a lot of work to get going, but we finally got her. So appreciate y'all watching.